Well, welcome to this class. We are continuing from the introduction to the first lesson, the first Abhidhamma lesson. Last week, we talked about the schedule, the general schedule of these lessons, also the foundation of the Abhidhamma, the foundation on which the citadel of this teaching is built up, which are the consciousness, the Citta, then the mental factors, the Cetasika, form, the Rupa, and the Nibbana, the unconditioned element. Consciousness, mental factors, and the body or the form is conditioned. We all know that. The consciousness, the Citta, comes first, earlier than mental factors. Now, this is well known in the Buddhist teachings and well known to us, but sadly misinterpreted, misunderstood. Now, most of you know this stanza, Mano Hubbangama Dhamma. Yeah, the first verse in the Dhammapada, first twin verses, begins with this line, Mano Hubbangama Dhamma. Mano and Dhamma. Now, Dhamma comes in Vipassana as Dhammanupassana. Now, when you recall this Dhammanupassana indicates contemplation on the mental factors. Dhamma indicates mental factors. Contents of the mind are the mental factors. Now, Pubbangama Chit Mano. Before the mental factors come, Mano, the mind, Citta. Mind or Mano is another term. So the Citta, the consciousness, the Mano, they are just the same, different names. That's all. Comes first than mental factors. That's the meaning. That's the real meaning we can give to this idea or give to this line, Mano Pubbangama Dhamma, if we are to follow the teachings of the Abhidhamma or the real teachings of the Buddha. Mano Pubbangama Dhamma. Mind comes before the mental factors, or the Citta comes before the contents of the mind. Contents come later, just like the king comes first and the ministers are behind. President comes first. His retinue, his security is behind. Just like that. Citta is the forerunner. So, in this context, we are going to explain the Citta or the consciousness or the mind first. Another thing, when we call mind, we usually don't separate, right? Mental factors or chetasikas and the consciousness, we never separate because it seems like a singularity, a single thing. But in the eyes of the meditators, they found this division, they found this difference between the consciousness, citta, and mental factors. Not for the untrained mind, but for the trained mind, the mind and mental factors are separately visible. For the untrained mind, it is just a singular thing. As I said in our last lessons, that All these teachings in the Abhidhamma is based on the experience of meditators, vipassana meditators, insight meditators. So, for an insight meditator, the so-called mind is nothing but a duality, two things called consciousness, chitta, or and mental factors, chitta and cetasika, right? This duality is there. This is the first thing we have to understand. And what is this chitta? Where does this chitta exist? Chitta is chintanamattam chittam. That function, that action, that activity of cognizing, knowing. What does the chitta do? Chitta knows. Chitta cognizes. That means the characteristic, the nature of the chitta, the mind is, the Buddha says, is just knowing of the object. How does it know? He knows with the help of sense faculties and the object. When an object comes to the presence of eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Now, these are the six sense faculties, six sense doors. When an object comes to the presence of these sense faculties, what happens? Chitta knows them. The mind recognizes them, understands them. That knowing, that nature of knowing is the mind, that's all. It is not something permanent there. Do we call it the mind? Actually, there is no such a thing, but human language is not that developed. We are to understand things in the form of subjects, in the form of objects. So mind also for us, an object there within us, which understand things. There is no such a thing like a self, like a atma, like something permanently there. No such a thing. Following the authentic Buddhist teaching, it is simply knowing. Now, for example, you are sitting on a chair, right? You are given the name, the sitter, one who is sitting. How about when you stand? The sitter is no more. That is the one who is standing. As long as you are thinking, the thinker is there. But in actual sense, is there a thinker? There is no such a person called thinker, because once he stops thinking, altogether thinker vanishes. So the thinking is going on, sitting is going on, standing is going on. We have given the names to solidify that action, but it is simply activities going on. Activities is what is going on, but we are not to be together with the activity. We are to be with the objects. That's why we want to identify them as something solid, permanent, something there. So in the Buddha's vision, there is no something called mind within. It is just an act of cognizing, act of knowing things. So with this understanding, let's move to our lesson. Consciousness, part 1. We begin with unwholesome. We begin with unwholesome chittas. Now, as I said, consciousness as a whole in a singular characteristic, which is knowing. which is cognizing. But with the interference of mental factors, that chitta takes different shapes. Now, these different shapes are categorized according to the planes of existence. Now, Buddhist cosmos, Buddhist universe is so vast. In many other religions, it is just heaven, human realm, and hell, right? Simple. But Buddhist cosmology is multiplied, upgraded, and degraded accordance with the hierarchy of the conscious development. When your consciousness is degraded, there are realms for you to take rebirth, for you to exist. When your consciousness, general consciousness, becomes a super consciousness with the help of meditation, with the help of inner cultivation, there are higher realms. Now, that these realms are categorized, these realms are identified in accordance with the hierarchy of the consciousness. Now, according to the hierarchy of that consciousness, there are planes of existence, and altogether there are four. What are they? Kama Vachara Chitta, sense sphere consciousness. Rupa Vachara Chitta, fine material sphere consciousness. Arupa Vachara Chitta, formless sphere consciousness. Lokuttara Chitta, consciousness related to the path and fruition of Nibbana. Now, here we concentrate on the first one because in our earlier lessons are about related to this first category, Kama Vachara, sense sphere consciousness. How many? 54. Yeah. Now, these 54 types of consciousness are to arise, are to happen in the minds of the people who are in the realms of sense pleasures. Kama Vachara. Kama, Kama means what we desire. In other words, Kama means subjective sensuality and objective sensuousness. Now, where do they exist? They exist in the four hellish realms, one human realm, and 6 divine realms. Altogether, 11 realms. 11 realms are there. Now, in these realms, what do they exist? Subjective sensuality, your desire for sense pleasures, and the objects are there. Now, we all desire to go to heavens. I mean, normally, human beings are desirous of going to heavens. And why this desire? Because that objective sensuousness can be fulfilled as much as possible in the heavenly realms. Yeah. And we are so afraid of going to hell, going to those realms of perdition, hell. Why is that? Because the objective sensuousness is there. Your desire for sense pleasures are there, but in the hell, you are not provided any way to fulfill those sense pleasures. That's why they are hells. Now, in the Buddhist perspective, in the Buddhist understanding, what is the hell? Where there is no opportunity to please your sense faculties. That is the hell. Yeah. The idea of torturing came later. Hell is, according to the Buddha's teachings, where there is no opportunity for you to please your sense faculties. Heaven is what? Where there is abundant opportunities for you to fulfill your sense pleasures. So we are desirous of going to heavens. Yeah. Because we are stuck in these sense pleasures. We are never fulfilled. We are always frustrated that we have no capacity to please our senses. It doesn't matter where we are to take birth, we are always unfulfilled. Yeah, that's the very nature of pleasing the senses. So karma indicates that subjective sensuality and objective sensuousness. Yeah, your inner desire for sense pleasures and the objects to fulfill that sense pleasure. Then the sensuous objects such as form, sound, odor, taste, and contact. These are the objects to please your senses. Yeah. And avachara. This word is important. Avachara, sphere. It means that which moves about or which frequents a particular locality. When we say the consciousness related to the sense pleasures, kamavachara chitta, consciousness related to sense pleasures. Now these chittas are the ones that are frequenting our consciousness, our minds. Our minds, generally untrained mind, is basically frequenting or basically hanging around the thoughts of sense pleasures. Why we say basically or frequently? Because there are unnatural cases or there are cases which is going against this. They are the meditators who develop the meditation in the fine material and immaterial manner. Those noble individuals happen to generate the thoughts of meditative absorptions based on those thoughts are going against or opposite to the thoughts of sense pleasures. So normally in the Kamavachara realms, the chittas are 54. These are normally arise. That's the meaning. Yeah. And of course, there are meditators who could develop further chittas based on the meditation, which is not related to the Kamavachara chittas. And also consciousness with respect to its nature. The first category related to its plane of existence. Here related to its nature. How many? 4. Unwholesome, wholesome, resultant, functional. Yeah. Now today our lesson is on unwholesome. Now unwholesome comes first. Unwholesome translated means, in Pali it says akusala, unwholesome. Why we took unwholesome first? We took unwholesome first because it is the very nature or very characteristic within us. Unwholesome is what is most powerful within us. Do you think wholesome is powerful in you? If wholesome is powerful in you, you are no more stuck in this cycle of birth and death. Since the unwholesome is powerful in you, you are stuck or attached to this cycling. You are being recycled again and again due to the authoritative, powerful existence of unwholesome akusala within you. And all the unwholesome is based on three roots. You see, it doesn't matter what sort of unwholesome, it doesn't matter what sort of anger that arises in you, jealousy arises in you, competitiveness, ego, or whatever. Whatever unwholesome thought arises in you, all are based on three simple roots. They are greed, hatred, delusion. Greed, hatred, delusion. They are the roots of all unwholesome. From the subtle level to the most heinous crimes, these roots are the foundation or the ones who lead the person to do them. Now, if you concentrate on this a bit, lobha, dosa, moha, greed, hatred, delusion. Now, these two, first two, greed and hatred, are mutually exclusive. That means when there is greed, there is no hatred. When there is hatred, there is no greed. Understand? They arise separately. When the mind is obsessed in greed, no hatred to found. Also, when you are dominated by hatred, no greed is there. But both of them exist because of their mother, because of their mother who gives birth to them. What is the mother? What is the mother of this greed and hatred? Delusion. So, greed plus delusion, hatred plus delusion. Delusion arises with both of them. Of course, if there is no delusion, greed and hatred cannot arise. Impossible. Yeah. Now, if we happen to go through a bit, yeah, these two, in a way, bind us to this cycling process of birth and death. These two, greed and hatred, driven by delusion. Delusion not is not manifesting directly here. It is behind the veil. Yeah. It is in the background, but it is directing, leading these two to function, manifest. Yeah. And eight is the chittas that arise. Based on greed is eight. Based on hatred, there are two chittas to arise. Based on delusion, there are two chittas. So all together, all our unwholesome thoughts, unwholesome consciousness, you name whatsoever, you can write a scenario anywhere that any sort of thinking arise based on these, yeah, you can find the cause is either the greed or hatred or delusion itself. Yeah. Now, overall structure of these 12. 12 means greed 8, hatred 2, delusion 2 altogether, 12 chittas, right? Now, just see the contents of the chittas that arise based on greed, feeling, view, heart. These three factors must be there, are there when the chittas based on greed to arise. Then comes the chittas based on hatred, anger, feeling, and heart is there, right? Then comes the two chittas based on delusion to arise. Heart is not there. Yeah? No heart in delusion. Only the feeling is there. And one thing common you can see, all the chittas have a feeling. Have a feeling. All the chittas have a feeling. Now, where does this come from? This comes from Vipassana, again in Vipassana. In Vipassana meditation, you know that there are 4 types of meditation, right? Beginning with Kaya Nupassana, observing your body as it is, observing its postures, its factors, its contents. That is Kaya Nupassana. Then Vedana Nupassana, second most obvious one. That is the feelings that arise in each and every particle of this body. Feelings that arise all over the body. That is the second. Now, those meditators who observe these feelings, they understand a singular universal fact. That is, before the thought arises, before the thinking arises, there is a particular feeling arise first, before the thinking arises. Or almost together with that thinking, there is a particular feeling arise first. Understand this. A feeling comes first, then almost next to it, the thought process, emotions starts surfacing on the mind. So if you happen to know how to master your feeling, that means you know how to master your mind and emotions. That's a fact. All meditators clearly know that. All meditators, Vipassana meditators have clearly seen this, that when your feelings pave the way for the thought processes, thinking processes, painful feelings basically cause and angry memories to surface, angry thoughts to come up. Pleasant feelings usually cause pleasant thoughts, yeah, thoughts based on sensual pleasures to arise. So the feelings comes first before the thought process. This is something you also can understood if you happen to go to that practice, vipassana. And here in this case, Abhidhamma says that every thought process, every chitta contains a feeling, contains a feeling. Of course, there are 3 types of feelings: pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, and neutral feeling, which is neither pleasant nor unpleasant. Okay, we go on. Now, manifestation of the unwholesome roots. These greed, hatred, delusion. What is the general manifestation? Generally, they manifest in the sense of leading us to a new life, or in the sense of forcing us to continue this cyclic journey in the samsara, birth and death. That is the general manifestation. What is the manifestation in the worst way, in the way which is harmful to us, leading us to do or commit evil things, commit crimes, so that we will take rebirth in perdition. Our rebirth here and hereafter, our life here and hereafter would be in such a misery because of the evil deeds. So the evil deeds which will demote us to perdition, to misery, are also driven by these unwholesome roots. In one way, it causes the continuing process of samsara, cycle of birth and death. In another way, if it goes to the worst manner, it will lead our misery here and hereafter. Now, the first one, out of these three roots, greed, hatred, delusion, we took greed first. Lobha mula chittas. The chittas, the types of consciousness rooted in greed. Any reason? In the world itself, if somebody out of uncontrollable, out of, let's say, a hot temper, based on hot temper or driven by anger, yeah, if somebody commit a crime, usually people have some sympathy on that person. People will look at that person in a sympathetic manner. This ignorant man couldn't control his anger. See that now that anger, uncontrolled anger, led him to such a misery. That is some sympathy. Also, even in the law, the general law, there will be some sympathy shown to that person. But if somebody generated crimes based on greed, that sympathy is very little, because it is always premeditated. It is always uh, done with former thinking and elaboration. Yeah, he could have controlled that. He could have stopped that. So no sympathy for such a thing. So among the crimes, among the evil deeds performed out of greed, hatred, delusion, most, wickedest or evil most are the crimes done through lobha or greed. Yep. Yeah. And moreover, greed is the root for even the hatred to arise. Hatred, in a way, a byproduct of greed. When what you desire is not fulfilled, when the things are happening opposite to your desire, there comes the hatred. In a way, we can look at it that hatred is kind of a byproduct for the unfulfilled desires. So greed is the major root for many evil things. So we took, and the Abhidhamma took, greed as the first and the foremost evil root for all the unwholesomes. We call them lobha mula chittas. You can see it. Coming from the root lub, to cling or attach. Usually, lobha is translated as attachment, clinging, greed, and craving. Yeah. We know another word, famous word for this, right? Tanha. Tanha. Another term for greed. Now, there are three types of craving, are there? Three types of greed, three types of tanha. Craving for sense pleasures, to please the senses, to please the eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body. Then, craving to be in states that are higher, to become someone, to be someone, to be better and better. Yeah. Bhava tanha. Then none of these happens. If none of these happens, if craving for sense pleasures doesn't happen, if you are frustrated in that area, also you are nobody in anybody's eyes, even you are a failure in your own eyes, then what happened? You want to destroy. You want to kill yourself, yeah, or you want to destroy. Vibhava tanha happens. Vibhava tanha. These are the triple cravings that take birth based on the general craving in our hearts. Now, the feelings involved in the craving. When you crave or when you desire, when you have tanha, what are the feelings that arise? First one is somanasa. You might be having this craving with a happy consciousness. So good mind. Somanasa. That's how the word is formed. Good mind or happy mind. So this mental state, pleasant mental state, or this pleasurable feeling in the mind, right? For example, you see something beautiful in someone else's procession and you generate desire on it. And of course, you are driven to steal that from that person, right? Now that stealing is done with the happy mind because you loved it, you wanted it, yeah? That happy mind is what is behind when you are doing that crime. So the first feeling, Abhidhamma presence, when you are engulfed in craving, is a happy mind. Somanassa sahagata, accompanied by joy. Accompanied by joy. Somanassa sahagata. Better remember that because it is what is coming in the line. Then the second feeling that can be happening is upekka, equanimity. Now, of course, when you hear this word, upekka, it indicates this higher feeling of or a higher way of thinking in the middle. Thinking in the middle means that your balanced mind is expressing when you experience the world and its phenomena. Yeah, this world is always changing. Everything is changing in this world. All the vicissitudes are there. Gain, loss, fame, shame, yeah, blame, praise, comfort, discomfort. All the vicissitudes are there in this world. When you experience them, if you experience them with a balanced mind, that balanced mind is upekka, equanimity. But it is not that equanimity we are talking here. We are talking about a mind which is neither happy nor unhappy, neither painful nor pleasant kind of feeling in the mind. Yeah, it is neither a painful feeling nor a pleasant feeling. That type of mind is what is talking about here when you are engulfed in the thoughts of greed, or when you are doing something driven by greed. First one is a pleasant mind, second one is an neutral mind, which is neither pleasant nor unpleasant. In Pali, it is coming as upekka sahagata, accompanied by indifference or neutral feeling. Accompanied by indifference or neutral feeling. Upekka sahagata. Then the next involvement is view. Yeah. What is the word in Pali for view? Which is called ditti. Ditti is the word. Now, usually when you say ditti in the suttas, when you read the Buddha's teachings, if you happen to find the word ditti, it indicates wrong view. Yeah. If Buddha wanted to indicate a right view, he will add this word samma. He will add this adjective samma for the ditti, samma ditti, to indicate that it's a right view. In the suttas, you will find many places they just say ditti, ditti. Ditti means then wrong view. It's wrong view. And of course, also you will find in the commentaries that Michcha ditti is there to show very clearly that it is wrong view. Anyway, ditti means view, to see things or to understand things according to your beliefs. That means, you know, you just, let's say, manipulate. You just manipulate according to your beliefs. For example, oh yeah, many people steal much more than me. I am stealing little bit. You see, you justify your stealing. I'm stealing from the government or from bank. Nobody gets harmed because of this. Justify. Yeah. We will find excuses to justify our wrong. Involvement of view is that view, the view to justify your wrong deed. Understand? So, ditthigata vipayutta is the ditthigata sampayutta, ditthigata vipayutta. There are two terms. So, sometimes you may do something driven by greed, being happy, or being neutral with wrong understanding or without such wrong understandings. In other words, with justifying or without justifying it. So you see the components. The feelings come first, right? Let's say a pleasant feeling, happy feeling, somanasa sahagata, with the feeling accompanied by joy. That's the first component. Yeah. Then with the view or without a view. With a view, without a view. This is the second component. First component has two factors, either with happy mind or with a neutral mind. You know what is that neutral mind is now. And then the second component also has two factors, right? With a view, with a justifying, or without a justifying. Then we go to the last one, spontaneous from the heart or being prompted, being induced by someone. The Pali word is sankhara. Sankhara. Spontaneous, asankharika. Being prompted, sasankharika. These are the words. Spontaneous, being prompted, asankharika, sasankharika. Sankhara is an umbrella term. Yeah, there are many meanings behind it. But here it has taken into these two categories, being prompted or spontaneous. That's what we call them from heart. Yeah. Uh, so asankharika, literally without effort, that which is unforced but done spontaneously. Asankharika. Keep in mind this word because it will be repeated again and again, even in the wholesome section. Yeah. asankarika. It is done by heart. It is done spontaneously, driven by your heart. Yeah. Then comes the sasankarika, 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 which is prompted by someone. Somebody commanded you to do it. Somebody asked you to do it. Somebody begged you to do it. Yeah. Or you forced yourself to do it from within you. That is sasankarika. Now the three components, two dualities of each component, right? First one is with a happy mind or with a neutral mind. Second one is with a view or without view, or in other words, with a justifying or without justifying. Then the last one is being prompted or from the heart. I mean, being prompted or spontaneously from the heart. Three categories, two dualities. Now, when you put in lines these three categories and two components of each, there comes the 8 chittas based on greed. You see, again here, pleasant feeling, somanasa sahagat, neutral feeling, upekkaha sahagat. This is the only way evil deed that can happen via greed, with a wrong view or dissociated from a wrong view. Dittigat sampayutta, dittigata vipayutta. Unprompted asankarik, prompted sasankarik. Yeah. So the first one is formed like this. First one is somanasa sahagata. You can see the first line, right? We take the feeling somanasa sahagata. Then comes the dittigata sampayutta, with the view. Unprompted asankarika. Asankarika. Now, shall we form the second one? Yeah. Second one comes like this. Somanasa sahagata. Dittigata vipayutta sasankarika. Asankarika, sasankarika. Excuse me. Second one comes somanasa sahagata. Dittigata sampayutta. Sampayutta. Sasankarika. Third one, somanasa sahagata. Dittigata vipayutta asankarika. Fourth one, somanasa sahagata. Dittigata vipayutta sasankarika. Everything covered, right? Related to the first feeling. Now comes the second feeling. Upekka sahagata. Dittigata sampayutta asankarika. Next line. That means sixth line. Upekka sahagata. Dittigata sampayutta sasankarika. Upekka sahagata. Dittigata vipayutta asankarika. Upekka sahagata. Dittigata vipayutta sasankarika. That's how the 8 chittas related to the root greed or driven by greed. Here, the second one, consciousness accompanied by pleasant feeling with wrong view prompted. Please read them. Right. These are the 8 chittas. 8 chittas based on greed. Now, what's the importance when we learn these things? What's the significance? Significance is that Of course, our minds are always or regularly driven by these chittas, these roots. So whenever there is such a chitta is in presence, we can comprehend them. In meditation, if you happen to meditate, you will happen to witness these very clearly. Without meditation, you may see them vaguely, but still you may see them. Yeah, of course, if you do homework, yeah, uh, where you can, if you happen to recall any sort of experience that you got based on these greed, yeah, or in the other lessons, the other hatred or delusion, then you can narrate that story. Yeah, Lobha Mula Chitta, and so on. Then comes the second category, dosa mula chitta. Dosa is anger. Yeah. Now, the feeling when the anger arises, of course, it is displeasure. Displeasure is the feeling that arises. Yeah. Nobody is happy and angry. If you happen to witness an angry person, if you happen to see an angry person, naturally, you will find that he is suffering within. He is just expressing, he's just throwing out his suffering to the external world, to the exterior. Yeah, he's suffering within. So that feeling, as soon as your anger arises, as soon as your anger arises, you will witness there is a very unpleasant feeling is accompanied by that anger. Before anger arises, unpleasant feeling arises in the body, and unpleasant mental feeling is accompanied by that dosa mula chitta. Yeah. Dosa comes from the root dus, meaning to be displeased, feeling displeasure, domanassa. Domanassa, do bad, mana, mind. Just like somanassa, so good, mana, mind. Remember? Also, do bad, mana, mind. Bad mind is the meaning for domanassa. Unpleasant mental feeling. Now, when we were talking about greed rooted chittas, there were two roots, right? I mean, two root feelings, feelings twofold, so manasa and upekka. But for the dosa mula chittas, there are two. Only, only the only feeling is this domanassa feeling. Yeah, displeased, unhappy. That's the feeling accompanied by that chitta. And then it is being accompanied by patigha. Patigha means strike against, right? Now we all know in anger, it is hard to bottle that anger up, right? We hard to bottle up that anger, hard to contain that anger. We want to express that anger in the form of striking against. We want to strike, we want to attack verbally, physically, we want to attack, we want to express that anger. That expression happened in the form of patigha, patigha sampayutta, associated with aversion or hatred. Patigha indicates striking against. That's the nature, that's the very nature of the chitta when it is driven by anger. We want to strike, we want to attack. Yeah. This is the mental attitude of resistance, rejection, destruction that arises with the feeling. Now, this anger can arise. Look at the third and fourth, asankarika, sasankarika. Just like, the greed, rooted chittas arose based on others' prompt or spontaneously. Anger also arises spontaneously from the heart or being prompted by someone. So asankarika, spontaneously, sasankarika, prompted. We all know that, right? Sometimes no reason you are angry. We are angry for no reason. Sometimes, of course, somebody forced our anger to come up. In both situations, the same anger is there. And that what is the mental feeling in that anger? Domanassa sahagata, displeasure. Happiness is not there, joy is not there, only the displeasure. You are suffering within. That's what it is. Then comes the feeling to attack, wanting, that desire to attack. Patiga sampayutta. Now, these are the components. Now, if we happen to form these two chittas, very easy. Domanassa sahagata, with pleasurable, displeasurable feeling. Patiga sampayutta, connected with aversion. Asankarika chitta. Domanassa sahagata, patiga sampayutta, asankarika. Unprompted. Second one, domanassa sahagata, patiga sampayutta, sasankarika. Prompted. Unprompted and prompted. Two chittas. But both the chittas are having these two contents, domanassa sahagata, unpleasant, displeasurable feeling, and patiga sampayutta. Now, just this is very obvious, right? Of course, uh, the manifestation of the greed is so subtle, we have no idea or we cannot detect easily. But when anger arises, is at least when the anger is gone, you can think about, yeah, I was so happy, I was so depressed, I was so sad within me, unhappy within me, yeah, displeased I was. Then I wanted to attack. Yes, I wanted to shout at someone or physically attack. Ah, that's what the Buddha said. All the anger thoughts, all the thoughts based on anger are based on these two chittas, either prompted by someone or spontaneously. Yeah. Now, these are the two chittas. Domanassa sahagata, patiga sampayutta sankarika chitta. Consciousness accompanied by displeasure, associated with aversion, unprompted. Next one you read. Domanassa sahagata, patiga sampayutta. Yeah, hope you understand. As I said, if you happen to uh, have any confusion, please remember the page and ask me. Then comes the last category, moha mula chittas. Moha is delusion. Ignorance is another word. Yeah, avidya is another word. Moha comes from the root mu, M-U-H, mu. It means to delude. It functions like cataract in our eyes. When you have cataracts, you cannot say, I don't see, right? I see. How to express this? I see, but it's not clear. It's oblique. It is vague. It is not clear. Moha is just like our cataracts in our eyes. If there is cataract in our wisdom, that is moha. We see things, but not clear. Yep. So when this uh, delusion is intense within us, that delusion will pave the way for two chittas to arise. They are called momuha chittas. You can see the word, right? Momuha chittas. That means anger is not involved, greed is not involved, only the moha is there. Only the moha is there. Yeah. So what are these two? Can you read? Upekkaha sahagata, accompanied by neutral feeling. Now, moha, when it is there, you can see the word itself, right? There is no clarity. Now, let's say in this confused states, what are the two confused states? Associated with doubt. These simply, these words show that we are not in a decision, right? Associated with doubt. You just have doubt. Now, you cannot be happy, you cannot be angry because decision is not there. Doubt is there. No, you have to become a Sherlock Holmes and find the truth. What is going on there? You have to find the truth until you come to a conclusion. So when your mind is involved with doubt, you are just in a confusion. And remember that doubt is part of the moha. Your mind is now based on moha. You are not clear about the things. That's the idea. Then comes the association with restlessness, uddhacca. Vichikiccha is doubt. Uddhacca is restlessness. Further explanation. Vichikiccha. Two definitions are there for the doubt in Pali, right? Uh, which is seeking, inquiring, kitch, to tire, strain, to be annoyed. That's one way. Meaning tiredness due to confused or perplexed thinking. That's one meaning for vichikiccha. Tiredness, mentally tired. This confused. You cannot go on a straight path. This is confused. You go here and there. You are not clear. Yeah. Then that tiredness is vichikiccha. The second meaning, we devoid chikitsa. Of course, this is similar, comes into the Sinhala language. Chikitsa. Chikitsa means remedy. Yeah. They use in the Ayurvedic medicine, chikitsa, remedy. Or knowledge. Devoid of knowledge, devoid of remedy also vichikiccha. That which is devoid of remedy of knowledge. It means, again, you don't understand. You don't have that knowledge. Then also translated as vichikiccha or doubt. Yeah. So though we simply say it is doubt, there are deeper meanings for this, right? Tiredness, you mentally tired due to this maze of thinking that you cannot think straightforward. Yeah. You are not in a clear-cut path. That kind of meaning. The second one come when you don't have that knowledge to cure your doubt, devoid of that knowledge. So indecisiveness due to delusion. That's the authentic meaning for vichikiccha. Then comes the uddhacca. U over dhu, to tremble, to get excited. Literally, over excitement or rousing. Uddhacca. That means mind is not settled. Unsettled mind. This is again, I think, based on the meditator's wisdom. A meditator will understand if you are not unhappy, if you are sad, or if you are in a depressed state of mind, it is not because of any external thing, but because of your never ending, continuous speed of thinking. You are thinking too much simply. That's the reason. If you happen to slow down your thinking, if you happen to find that calmness within you, then you will find that happiness. Meditators easily understand this. You are not unhappy not because of anything in this world, but because of your own continuously clamoring mind, overthinking mind. That's the reason. Uddacha is can be said another word for overthinking. Yeah, it's a restless state of mind, overthinking state. This is the opposite of calmness, quietness, serenity. Another word, disquietude, mental distraction, confusion, all these are uddhacha. Now, when you are in doubt, when your mind is restless, when you are overthinking, what is in manifestation? Moha, delusion. So the two consciousnesses rooted in delusion, consciousness accompanied by neutral feeling, associated with doubt. Upekka sahagata, right? This is the neutral feeling. Feelings come first. Then doubt, vichikicha, sampayutta, chitta. Yeah. Sampayutta, that associated with doubt. Sampayutta, vichikicha, sampayutta, associated with doubt. Then comes the consciousness, chitta, accompanied by neutral feeling. Upekka sahagata, associated with restlessness, uddacha, sampayutta, chitta. Now here is the entire list of it. The root is greed, feeling, pleasure, yeah, association with wrong view, prompt, yeah. We know right now there are two chittas. I mean, there are two occasions being prompted or spontaneous, right? So the first one is the chitta based on greed, so manasa sahagata, pleasurable feeling, wrong view, association with, right? Dittigata sampayutta, promption, no promption, then asankarika. Somanasa sahagata dittigata sampayutta asankarika. Then again, feeling is pleasurable, somanasa sahagata. Wrong view, yes, dittigata sampayutta. Promption, yes, sasankarika. Again, somanasa sahagata, dittigata vipayutta. Promption, no, asankarika. Somanasa sahagata, dittigata vipayutta, without view. Sasankarika, with the promption. Also goes to the other ones in the same manner. Here the feeling is different. Equanimity, that neutral feeling, with the wrong view, without promption. Equanimous feeling, with the wrong view, with the prompting. Equanimous feeling, without wrong view, without prompting. Equanimous feeling, without wrong view, with prompting. Also, the same goes to the chittas based on hatred and delusion. That's it. That's for the unwholesome chittas. Small blessing for you all.
Thank
Bhavatu
you.
sabba mangalam rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhave sabba dhammanubhave sabba sanghanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te.